Welcome to Ensemble. Today we have with us our chief mentor Shri K. Siddhartha, who is a strategic thinker and advisor to many international governments, to share his insights on essays for civil mains examinations with us.
Well, talking of culture is what we are and civilization is what we have, the essential part begins with a very, very clear differentiation between both of these words, as well as the combination of it, as well as how is it that they're going to manifest themselves, and as well as how is it that you can go to present yourself in this context. We're going to begin with first thing first, that is, again, we're going to talk about the civil service that is UPSC requires, that you must be in a position to comprehend that, that is, must be able to know what it means, then able to organize your thoughts, able to structure your thoughts as well, the language that you're going to use, and how is it that you're going to express yourself. Now, in this process, how is it that you're going to allow the language to flow towards a conclusion that you are going to be reaching, and of course, the introduction in this case, which can be again a varied type, and which is a completely different chapter altogether. Now we're going to begin by describing this section by talking about its comprehension in a very different manner. That is, we're going to talk about one experience that we had. There is the analogy of how Americans say, that is, Indian children who study and behave very well. I'm going to give you an example of what happened in Michigan at one point of a time, United States at one point of a time with me. One of my batchmates with whom I was living in that place, he was very close to that of the Michigan Police Commissioner. And Michigan Police Commissioner was very surprised by the fact that how is it that my batchmate's son used to be studying so religiously, and he used to be so well behaved, and that he used to be so caring for his parents, and that he used to be so respectful for the parents as well. He was very, very, very surprised. Now, we have to ultimately convince him that, see, it is not because of his schooling, it's not because of anything, it's the way that these children have been brought up. And it is reflected in the bringing up of the children. And when we're going to be talking about that reflected in the bringing up, Indian children indeed go on to be very decent, very well behaved, very respectful to the parents, and that is because they respect their parents. That is because they respect the surroundings in that region. They are not going to be hooligans of sorts. There is obviously some meaning of why is it that and how is it that the Indians are called as to be the most decent and the most educated community. They do not go on to shed their civilization in this case. You will go on to find that even in the recent Biden administration, there are going to be a good number of Indians in this case. You will also going to assume that Indians are not going to be involving themselves in a lot of backbiting and a lot of ill-behaved acts outside their own country. Moreover, you will also going to assume that there is a symbolic meaning of Indian athletes not indulging in indecent behaviour. You can go to make a complete contrasting manifestation of it, contrasting behavior of Indians and the Australian cricket players. One of them will going to find it very, very decent, very well behaved. Another will going to find that is going to be associated with what not. Their spectators, the people, the players, they start indulging in sledging. And then today they will go to sledge, tomorrow they will go to say sorry. That is, today they will go to spit, tomorrow if they go to ask them, they will go to eat it as well. This is not civilization. So Indian athletes are again going to be very, very well civilized, and that's largely because they're going to respect their environment surrounding it. When the British came here, then it was this picture that they saw. It was this aspect that made them very, very jealous. It was this jealousy that prompted Britain to destroy its culture systematically. Imagine what was written in Macaulay's statement, that I have seen the length and breadth of this country and I have not found any person uncivilized. anyone uncultured. So much amount of wealth, so much amount of knowledge, so much amount of culture that I have seen in this country that there is no way that this country can be destroyed unless we go on to hop upon the basic aspect of their culture, destroying the culture systematically. And consequently, I propose a system of education that will go on to make Indians brown in color but British by their thinking. So this is what exactly that we all have become. Otherwise, why is it that we will be talking to you in English language in a country that has 15,000 years of a civilization, not culture. We are talking about civilization. So it was this jealousy that is British knew that with such type of a civilizational backing, there is no way that India can be broken, and they did it by harping upon entering into it. It is this aspect that is to be built, to be destroyed systematically by the urban naxals as well, and left-oriented thinkers at the behest of outside the countries. So it is again these people who are destroying the basic civilizational fabric of the country, because unless they go on to destroy this basic culture, there is no way that this country can be made subservient, or it can be made something else also. So it is all in all Indians and all of it Indians all in all are going to be very, very civilized, and they're civilized largely because this is not a product of something that is present. They have been carrying it. They have carried it from their grandfather. They have carried it from their great grandfather. They have carried it from the surrounding where they have studied. Although I doubt that if Indians are going to be carrying the same type of a civilizational tone and civilizational thinking again for the future generation, because of course this civilization is going to be very, very different. This is something that has been carried on. It's not something that is going to be imbibed in the present. But culture is what we are at present. Civilization is what we were, and we have been able to carry that legacy. Culture is what exactly that we are. The basic meaning is that, and culture goes on to get manifested in a lot of things. For example, one is going to be in the lifestyle. Culture is basically, the meaning of culture is way of life. How is it that you're going to lead your life? So every day, that is going to be every day. That is whether you're going to use a car and what type of a car that you're going to use, what type of a dress that you're going to use. You use dress for the purpose of covering yourself, or you use dress for the purpose of showing it and flaunting it to someone. You use dress for the purpose of maybe making yourself comfortable, or is it that you're going to use your dress for the purpose of making some other people uncomfortable as well? Now, that is going to be the lifestyle. Lifestyle will go to mean what exactly is you use it for the purpose of your breakfast. What all that you go on to use it. What type of a sheet that you're going to use it for the purpose of your bed. What type of a bed that you're going to have. What type of a food that you're going to eat. What type of interaction that you're going to like to have with the people. And also, it is going to be thinking. How is it that the people going to think? Is it that when they're going to think, they're really going to think in any manner that is going to be reminiscent of the past? Or is it that their thinking is all going to be snobbish? For example, if you're going to come across a good number of people in Delhi, you will going to observe that you will not going to find the type of a thinking that Delhi people will go to manifest that is as snobbish a thinking as that they're going to have. And that is the present culture. If some of the people who are in some places, in some regions in Delhi, if they do not go to present themselves in that manner, they will not going to have a brand of belonging to Delhi at all. That is their thinking. And by thinking, we mean only one thing. And only one thing. And that is present. That is, their thinking is affected by what is going to be in the present. Language is going to be another part of it. Language, and how is it that they're going to use it? Is it that people go on to be taking pride in their language that that had been their native language, that has been a language that had been in their blood, in their stream, in their thinking, in their civilization? Answer is no. Most of the people even don't know how to speak English, but keep on speaking English in a very garish manner. Even the language that they're going to speak, They do not go to mind the words. Anyone who goes on to using words like that of yaar, any one of them who go on to using such type of slang words without having a meaning, having known the meaning of it, you can imagine that is the present culture. And then that is about present. The way that they're going to mix their language, the way that they're going to mix the words, the type of words that they're going to be using it, that is about present. It's not something that they have imbibed, that they have inherited from the past. Iconography is going to be another part of a society with it. You'll hardly going to find that is the people, most of the people who are going to be living in present, their iconography can go on to be someone like Rani Ganaldu, someone like Swami Vivekananda, someone like Ramakrishna Paramhansa, someone like Jagdish Chandra Basu, someone like Sikhdar as well, someone like some of these athletes as well. You will going to find that in India, it's in India, of course, that is a not good part of the culture. A film that was made on an athlete, Mary Kom, that film earned much more than the athlete went on to earn. Now this is not a very good iconography. It's not that people will go on to hold, of course they're going to do hold Mary Kom in a very high esteem, but then imagine why is it that this happens. This is all about the present thinking, the perceptions that the people go to carry in this case. And why is it that we are talking about perceptions? Most of the people will go to talk about perceptions. Most of the people will go to think about perception. Most of the people will go to decide on the basis of perception. Most of the people will go to move ahead on the basis of perception. And because they're going to live in a perceptual environment, they do not go to live in a real environment of sorts. Moreover, they have not carried some of their civilizational aspect from the past. Otherwise, they will not going to build a perception. They will be able to weigh the present with the past. They will be able to merge both of them in one way or the other. That is going to be another aspect associated with it. Then religion is going to be a tool for life as well. Is it that religion is going to be used for the purpose of making a day-to-day living? You are going to find in some of these cultures that is going to be yes. In some of them, it is not at all. Now, both of them going to talk about present. Otherwise, take an example. Had it been civilization, then civilization aspect will go to mean that Sanatan Dharma, that is, we are not going to be talking about that it's being synonymous with Hinduism. Sanatan can be followed by a person from Islam as well, a person who is following Christianity as well, and going to find a good number of people following this type of Sanatan Dharma and Sanatan lifestyle also. Now, for them, religion is not going to be a tool. Religion is going to be only a means of disciplining themselves. But then a good number of people will go on to, and since this has not carried forward, civilization in this case has not carried forward, consequently what has happened is that religion has gone on to become a tool to make it a ritual of sorts. Religion is not ritual. Ritual is going to be something very, very different. And for some of these communities, talk about Islam, that goes on to used as a tool by those people for the purpose of justifying all of their wrong deeds, like killing people, like making anti-country statements in a country where they're going to live, and so on. Now, that is about culture. This is culture that goes on to be at present. Civilization is very different from culture. The basic meaning of civilization is all about respecting your environment. And which type of environment? Civilization is all about respecting your natural environment, respecting your cultural environment, respecting your linguistic environment, respecting your religious environment, respecting your economic environment, respecting the immediate environment. For example, being in the studio, we are respecting the board, we are respecting the lights, we are respecting in this place the whole of the class that you are going to be talking about. Civilization is all about respecting your environment. Civilization is what we have, not exactly that how is it that we're going to live. What we have, civilization gets reflected in the legacy, and that legacy is going to be in the form of a type of a thinking. Civilization aspects are best reflected in a thinking as it carries a legacy. And that legacy can be, that is, if you go on to think of civilization, then Mahabharata goes on to imbibe in you some type of significance. Gita used to imbibe it. And if you go on to study Gita, Maybe whatever situation that you are going to be, you are maybe in a very, very rough situation, but then Gita will never make you sad at all. Gita will go to help you understand why is it that some of these things happen, and why and how is it that some of these things are going to be happening also. Civilization will always go on to make you spiritual, not religious. And spiritual means that you are first a human being rather than anything else. That means you will first, you will go on to understand a lot of things in a more logical manner also. And when we are going to be talking about something logical, if you go on to see a human being crying, if you go on to see a dog crying, if you go on to see someone in pain, and if you do not go on to feel the same pain, then you are not civilized. Largely because being a human being, this is one of those things that you need to know. Civilization is also about when someone is going to be chopping trees, you also go on to feel the pain, and you know how is it that can go on to harm them. Civilization is that is going to be spiritual also. Civilization is also always going to be thinking about being a human being, thinking about the other person as well. Civilization is about ability to understand our mistakes, and that is, we all going to be making a mistake. That is, the moment you're going to understand your mistakes, and then going to take some corrective aspects. That is civilization. Civilization goes on to teach you to do all of these things. Culture means now you may not go on to know that. I'm talking about may not go on to know that, because that is not understanding mistake, defending your mistakes can go on to become a part of your culture. Civilization also goes on to be talking about pertaining to your ability to distinguish between right and wrong. And that you are in a position to distinguish between what is right and what is wrong. And when you are in that position to distinguish between right and wrong, that makes it very, very, very sensible. And why is it that we're going to be saying it so? Culture allows you to carry on. Whether you are right, whether you are wrong, even if it is that you are going to be wrong, you will go on to follow, because that goes on to become a lifestyle at present. Without it, perhaps you may not go on to think of surviving also. That is going to be a possibility. Civilization also goes on to help you distinguish between humane or not, whether you are going to be humane. That means a true human being, or is it that you are going to be having that type of animalistic tendency in this case as well. Civilization distinguishes between what exactly is is correct and it is incorrect, and that whatever that is going to be correct, whether it goes on to harm anyone in this case or not. And if it doesn't go to harm anyone, then how is it that it can go to benefit someone? If it is going to be all about harming someone, then this is one aspect civilized person will not go on to take it. And this is something that is imbibed in a person through millennia, through centuries. Such things don't go on to come artificially. These things, they're going to transcend from one generation to another generation to another generation. Civilization also helps you to know whether the actions that are going to be doing that are being done, they are going to be harmful for the society, and to know whether the actions will go on to harm the environment or not. A civilized entity, a civilized community, a civilized region will never go on to talk about destroying their environment. Now imagine, that is the basic reason that we're going to say that is Indus Valley civilization went on to become extinct. And why is it that it became extinct? The basic reason was that the people stopped respecting their environment. A good number of you people will go on to think that is during the lockdown period, during the COVID lockdown period, you saw the environment becoming so clear. In some places in some places like Sitamarhi in Bihar, Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh, and also in places in Punjab, people were able to have a clear look at the Himalayas. That means that is civilization. That is civilization. You don't go to harm the environment. Ultimately, you have started harming the environment, and what is happening is that you are yourself getting affected by all of these aspects. Now, it also pertains to the activity, whether the actions will go on to harm the environment or not, and also that we're going to talk about whether it goes on to harm the psyche of the people or not. And when we are going to be talking about civilization will go on to allow you not to harm the psyche of a person and to harm the fabric of the society as well. Civilized people, civilized societies don't go on to harm the other societies at all. And you will imagine that this is why some of the historians not belonging to India, they have said about India. And that statement is going to be very honored to envy. It is already becoming clearer that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending if it is not the end in the self-destruction of the human race. At this supremely dangerous moment in history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way. And this is what has been known to us during the COVID period as also. It was this COVID lockdown that taught us how is it that we have to have a minimalistic lifestyle. How is it that we can go to be peaceful? How is it that we have to take care of this health? How is it that the people are going to be the biggest assets? How is it that the environment is going to be the biggest asset in this case? How is it that we have to always keep a vigil on taking care of the thoughts that are going to affect us? It is this civilization. It is a civilization that will go on to teach you such type of a thinking. A lifestyle in this case has been that you have been closed, and you can go on to follow a lifestyle that can go on to be completely Western oriented as well. Left undistorted, a civilized society will go on to make some mistakes. Of course, this society will go on to make mistakes, but will apologize for it. It will learn from these mistakes. It will go on to ask for apologies for the wrongs. It will go on to correct itself. Because that is what civilization goes on to teach you. Civilization always goes on to teach you, and that is a legacy. We have talked about it's a legacy that carries. A culture may not go on to teach you, that is, a culture may go to teach you to do something wrong and keep on doing all of these things wrong, only wrong and only wrong itself. So when you go on to talk about this type of civilization, a civilized society will never go on to do such type of atrocities that had been done on India by the colonial powers. What these colonies did was that there were certain type of internal differences and they cheated it. They cheated. British people cheated Indians at every point of time. They killed en masse. That we're going to talk about. Winston Churchill, he created the Great Famine of India and he killed these people en masse. That's not civilization. Then you will go to talk about a good number of people who came from Britain. They planted mistrust among the people. They exploited this type of a mistrust. This is again not a civilization. This is part of the British culture. This is not part of what we are. This is what we have. We have not, Indians have not been able to do it so. We're going to pick up another example. Why is it that someone will go to burn libraries also? Can you imagine? That is when the Muslim invaders came to India, then they had a single point agenda of looting the country. They looted it. Not only that, they killed people en masse. Not only that, they burnt libraries. Can you imagine that is most of these Muslim invaders, which are going to be, of course, they are defended by the present community as well, and consequently, the one person who was responsible for destroying Nalanda University, that is Bakhtiyar Khilji, he has a station named after him, and that is about eulogizing it. That is going to be about making a hero out of it. Some of those people like Ghazi, who was one person who said that is you must go to convert all of these Hindus are going to kill them. He was one Ghazi. That is what is meaning of Ghazi. On his basis, there is a complete city, Ghaziabad, named after it. Now, that is what has been not a civilization. This is about a culture. That's a lifestyle that you go on to follow it every time. Civilization doesn't allow you to inherit these things at all in this case. Culture is, that's why we say that culture is what we are. And when we go to say that is, when we mix culture and civilization, both of them, we go on to find that is civilization goes on to play a role in making you spiritual. Culture goes on to play a role in making you follow a lifestyle. Civilization goes on to make you God-fearing. Not exactly that God exists or not. It doesn't mean killing of innocents in the name of religion. So if you are civilized and if you have been talking about what exactly that you have inherited, you will not going to do it. but culture, which is going to be all about what we are right now and how is it that we can go to control the world. For example, Islam follows this basic tenet of trying to control the whole of the world because it's more a political organization than most of the people going to imagine it. Consequently, what it goes on to do is that it tries to kill a good number of people in the form of religion. Why is it that good number of terrorists and almost all the terrorist organizations in the world are going to be having Islamic origin? That is not God-fearing. God-fearing doesn't go to mean killing of innocents in the name of a religion. That is a culture is going to be about following a lifestyle. But then when you go on to follow a culture lifestyle, but with a civilized value, that means if you are a part of civilization, you will go on to follow a lifestyle that is going to be akin to protecting the human beings, protecting the environment, doing everything that is going to be very humane. But if you have been part only of the present, what we are right now, then you will go on to be very, very practical. And in the name of being practical, in the name of a culture, you will go on to do only those things that will go on to suit your interest. Humanity or no humanity. You will go to follow only those things that will go on to help you create a legacy of your selfishness. Forget about religion or no religion. If you are going to be following a culture, what you are going to be following it right now, you will go to cheat a lot of people, whether it is going to be ethics or not. Now, that is what culture goes on to be, and it is going to be always at present. Civilization always goes on to be what we have. What exactly is it that we have inherited? What is the psyche that we have inherited? What is the perception that we have inherited? What is the spirituality that we have inherited? Civilized values, when they are manifested in culture, that actually goes on to help you prepare a lifestyle that is going to be minimalistic, that is going to be very human, that is going to be, again, as we're going to be calling it, Vasudha Kutumbakam.
We are thankful to Shri K. Siddhartha for sharing his valuable time with us. To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.